the verses ready, then we can. Hare Krishna, welcome all the devotees. Let us start with Jaya Radha. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Bihari Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Bihari Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Hematiravana Chala Hematiravana Chala Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Ram Ram Jaya Radha Jaya Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Tiravana Chala Tiravana Chala Hare Krishna. Welcome to ISKCON Seshadripuram, daily Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Could I share the screen? Could you give me the permission to share the screen? Thank you. Hare Krishna. So, today's verses are Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 27th chapter, verse number 17 and 18. So, we'll get into the verses. Once again, I am repeating Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 27th chapter, verse number 17 and 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dhiraye Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. Devutir Vacha Purusham Prakritir Brahman Na Vimchati Karchit Anyonyapa Shrayatvacha Nityavadan Anayo Prabho. Word to word translation. Devuti Vacha. Devahuti said, Purusham, the the spirit soul, Prakriti, material nature, Brahman, O Brahmana, Na, not, Vimunchati, does release, Karchit, at any time, Anyonya, to one another, Apasrayatvat, from attraction, Cha, and Nityatvat, from eternality, Anayoho, of them both, Prabho, O my Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is there separation possible? Purport. Devahuti, the mother of Kapila Deva, here makes a first inquiry. Although one may understand that the spirit, soul, and matter are different, their actual separation is not possible either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and matter is the external potency of the Lord. The two eternal potencies have somehow or other been combined. And since it is so difficult to separate one from the other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot pursue the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapila Dev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of Vaidism. The Vaidists say that consciousness is a product of a combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves. And therefore, there is ultimately nothing but voidness. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavada philosophy. We will move to next sloka. Third canto, 27th chapter, verse number 18. Yata gandhasya bhumascha bhavo vayatriyekataha apam rasasya cha yata tata buddhihi parasya cha. Word to word translation. Yata, as, gandhasya, of aroma, bhumish, of earth, cha, and na, no, bhavaha, existence, vyetre kataha, separate, apam, of water, rasasya, of taste, cha, and yata, as, tata, so, buddhihi, of intelligence, parasya, of consciousness, spirit, cha, and translation. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. The example is given here that anything material has an aroma, the flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. From the matter cannot be identified. If there is no taste to water, the water has no meaning. If there is no heat in the fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning. Om Jnana Timirandasya Anjana Salakaya Chashkuro Militam Yena Osmai Sri Guruve Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Tavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Tadanti Swapadantiham Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Chaya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Savana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Dev Sri Radha Krishna Padan Savana Lalita Sri Vishakan He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Yauda Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Tade Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschasya Deshatari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Acharya Padaya with the blessings of Acharyas, let us try to discuss with this, material world, how we all are, so contaminated and infected, how we are anchoring for the real liberation. But before getting into the meaning of the verses, so let us have a small discussion on little background about for a better connectivity to this verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 27th chapter. This is very important verse to understand better, what is the meaning of the real bhakti, what is the real understanding behind this liberation. Try to understand, little background to connect with this chapter and this verse. Then we will try to connect the relevant verses. And today we will discuss more about liberation or mukti and what exactly the two verses says. And before these two things, we will connect to this present verse from the little background of the previous topics and what is the origin of this subject matter of today's discussion. So, as we all know, the 3rd canto name is status quo. That means government already passed some amendment, and now the government is coming and checking whether all the amendments are in place or not. So that is a very simple understanding about this particular subject matter. That is about the 3rd canto. Now we will get into the canto. This canto being, could be divided into 4 divisions. The first division, we had a discussion about meeting of Uddhava and Vidura. It went on up to 1st to 4th chapter. Then from 11th and 12th chapter, that is about Sarga and Visarga. And then 13th to 19th chapter, pastimes of Lord Varaha. And then the 4th division is appearance and teachings of Lord Kapila, which goes on from 21st chapter to 33 chapter. So we are presently in chapter number 27. So the chapter number 27 gives the foundation from the fundamental principles of material material nature. That is from chapter 26, and which lays a foundation for chapter 28, Kapila's instructions on the execution of devotional service. And present topic and chapter is understanding material nature. Okay, so understanding material nature is okay. It goes on from 25th to 33rd chapter. And what is the origin of this discussion is there are many questions. The question number 5 from 25th verse and 29th verse, 25th chapter from 3rd canto. Explain the process of jnana yoga. How many limbs do they have? Questions from Devahuti. For that, Lord keep on answering path of jnana, and the Kapila Devi describes the subject matter of Sankhya by describing characteristics of Prakriti, Purusha, and all other 28 elements, and about Virat Roop and everything. And later that same question, that is about jnana yoga, how many limbs. So in that line, chapter 27 and 28 also going to deal on the same topic matter, method of liberation, difference between Jiva and Prakriti, limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, description of Lord's form for performing Dharma, etc. Now, we will get into today's chapter. Today's chapter name is Understanding Material Nature. How to understand this material nature. So this particular, chapter being divided into 7 divisions. We are in the 4th division. The first division already, first 3 divisions which we have come across. Kapila describes the need for liberation for a conditioned soul, practice of yoga to attain liberation, understanding the presence of soul and the super soul. And today's context, the 17th verse to 20th verse, Devahuti's questions about rarity of liberation. Liberation means mukti, and rarity means durlabha, sudurlabha. Right? Such a this liberation is not that as granted like that. So remaining all other topics is out of our discussion today. So our subject matter for today's discussion, Devahuti's question about rarity of liberation. So once again, I'd like to read the translation for better understanding. What is this rarity of liberation? So the translation says, Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, she addresses him, Lord, as a Brahmana. Does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? First question. And then continuation, 18th verse. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. So this body and the soul, why all this, though it is different, why all these two are always, not possible for the separation like that, like how intelligence and the consciousness. So that is the important, question here for the discussion. So regarding that, first we will discuss about, what is this mukti is all about. Prabhupada gives, so many definitions for mukti. So before getting into what is mukti, let us see types of mukti. Then we will come to mukti. Or in one line definition, the mukti means what is our original constitutional position or swarupa. And Prabhupada explains in so many other different ways. We will get into that also. For a nutshell, there are 5 types of mukti. One is Sayujya, Salukya, Sarupya, Samipya, Saresti. There are 5 different types of mukti. But the devotee's mood is above all. But it doesn't mean that it is granted. So let us understand, what exactly, this different kinds of mukti deals about to understand, better, according to, this question. So the first one is Sayujya Mukti. This type of mukti or liberation is to merge into existence. Sayujya Mukti, like, Brahma Jyoti. It is not that easy, right? How to understand this, this Sayujya Mukti. See, we all part and parcel of the Lord. We all born or came out of the Supreme Absolute. Then after liberation, again we merge into the existence of the Supreme. This is one level of mukti, but it is very dangerous. Why? Because again there is a process to go up, or either it could be for fall down. That is the first level of mukti, Sayujya Mukti, like Brahma Jyoti. The number 2, Salokya Mukti. What is this Salokya Mukti means? One can get habitation, residence on the same planet where God resides. I can also go and live in Vaikuntha, right? So we will also go there. We will also go there. That is the only point we can understand. That is the second one. That is Salokya Mukti. The third one is Sarupya Mukti. So here it means Mukta. That means liberated soul becomes like the Supreme Lord. Very wonderful. This third one is. It is like just like Narayana. Narayana has got 4 hands with Haunch, Chanku, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So everyone who attained this Sarupya Mukti becomes like the Supreme Lord. So they also manifest, looks like none other than Narayana. So they could get the form. Previously they got the place. Now they got the form. Such a liberated. Next, Samipya Mukti. What is this Samipya Mukti? How to understand this Samipya Mukti? Means liberated soul is always in the company of the Lord. Who is example for always in the company of Lord? None other than Arjuna. So Arjuna is there to accompany. They are never separated. That is called Samipya Mukti. What is the next? Sarishti Mukti, last one. It means to get the same opulence. One gets all the opulence as the Lord has got, right? So that person also will become like all the opulences, whatever the Lord has got, this person also will get. One becomes as good as Lord, becomes so powerful. This is called Sarishti Mukti. Example, how to understand? Bali Maharaja was granted a special planet called Sutala by Lord Vamana. Lord elevated that particular soul into as equivalent to the Lord, where he enjoyed a great opulence like that of Lord. Thus, King Bali is an example for Sarishti Mukti. So, what is the message from the Lord is this bhakti is greater than the mukti. Very, very wonderful. So in this connection, I'd like to recall one pastimes of Lord Krishna. So we all know Krishna's headache. When Krishna was having a symptom of headache, then Narada Muni came and Lord shared that Narada Muni, I am having a headache, what to do? Then Narada Muni knows he is standing in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He himself asked, okay, what shall I do for your seva like that? Then Lord said, I need the dust of a pure devotee's feet. Then Narada Muni started, we all know Narada Muni is a spaceman who can fly to any planet in any time, any place and circumstances for the good of the devotees, and also all demigod and for everyone. And then he went to Brahmaloka. Then he started asking, my dear Brahmaji, so this is the situation. Could you give me your dust of your lotus feet? Brahma afraid. No. How can I give my lotus? How can I give my dust of my feet? To the Supreme Personality of Godhead? It is not at all possible like that. He refused to. Because out of this thinking of this mukti, this liberation, then he went to the Kailaya, Shivaloka. There he approached Lord Shiva. he narrated the same. Could you give your, dust like that? Then he, he also worried about, his liberation, and then said, no, it is not possible like that, it had happened. Then later stage, he, he went to Goloka Vrindavan and to meet all the Gopas and Gopis. So while meeting, Gopas and Gopis, the moment, Narada Muni said that this is a situation, could you give, your dust of your feet? Then immediately, without any second thought, these devotees, Gopas and Gopis, came forward and, ready to share, their, dust, their feet dust. Then for Narada Muni, it is very, astonishing. Oh, what is this? All of us, these things. Even Lord Brahma is not in a position. Lord Shiva is not in a position. Then how come these devotees, are so affectionate, and what is the secret? Like that. Narada Muni, further try to understand what exactly, this particular position is all about. Then, then Narada Muni came to know that, see, these pure devotees least bother about this mukti also, liberation also. So this bhakti yoga is even higher than this liberation. But here, this wonderful question, this liberation also not granted, right? This is also very rare. But the devotees even above that level. That is what, Srimad Bhagavatam and our acharyas, trying to bring it out here. And then we will try to understand from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita further about, detail about for better understanding of what exactly this mukti is all about. Just give me So this mukti also, it is very rare. It is not that easy, it is not that cheap. Everybody can, attain this level. Only the yogis and, very elevated souls, then finally we will understand what is the level of pure devotees. So according to Bhagavad Gita, some of the points we will discuss. Right? Who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Mukunda, or the giver of mukti? Who could give mukti? Mukti could be sanctioned only by a Mukunda. That is the only understanding from Mukunda about the mukti. Then Prabhupada explains in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, mukti or liberation means freedom from material consciousness. Right? So freedom from material consciousness is very, very important here. And even further reference being, discussed here, muktir idvanyata rupam sarupena vyavastitihi. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness. So we should know what is contaminated consciousness. Anything which is associated with the material consciousness, that is called contaminated consciousness. So that means we could not, that means we should come out of this contaminated consciousness. We should, go back to the original consciousness. That is called mukti. And again in Bhagavad Gita, mukti or liberation from the loss of material nature is sought by the leaders of mankind in different. Leaders of mankind in different. So it is not, this material nature, there are different muktis, we have come across. We have discussed there are 5 different types of mukti. So the based on, the, loss of material nature, one will get into this process. And even for more authentication from Lord Shiva, mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnu evana samshaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer. Even Lord Shiva says, no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer. This mukti also should be sanctioned by the Lord, but devotee's mood is even above that. right? Only I want, this your prema. That is ultimate. And further in Bhagavad Gita, the entity becomes free from the influence of the illusionary material energy. He attains the stage called mukti. The entity becomes free from influence of the illusionary material energy. That is also Lord's energy. But one could come out of this stage of material energy, illusionary material energy, to be also considered as mukti. And further, the repetition from the introduction, mukti or liberation means freedom from material consciousness. Mukti means freedom from material consciousness. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness, which just now we discussed. So that is a better understanding to think in that direction. So let us understand some of the points from Sri Bhagavatam and mukti. So mukti is very precious. The Lord explained in Srimad Bhagavatam introduction. It is mentioned that the Lord explained the word mukti to be equivalent to the word Vishnu. Mukti also is not that easy. Mukti is equal to Mukunda or Vishnu. So that is what it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam introduction. Or the personality of Godhead, none other than the Lord. To attain liberation from the bondage of material existence is to attain to the service of the Lord. So for this mukti also one should get into this bhakti yoga, not other yoga systems, right? So there are, we discussed, there are 5 different types of mukti and some more details about this. Apparently the serpent named Aghasura, because of having received association with Krishna, attained mukti. Entering the body of Krishna is called Sayujya Mukti, so as we discussed earlier, right? Entering. But later verses prove that Aghasura, like Dantavakra and others, received Sarupya Mukti. Aghasura attained the Sarupya Mukti, being promoted to the Vaikuntha planet to live with the same 4 arms. So we discussed, the initial stages. What is that mukti? Initial stage. There are 5 stages. One is Sayujya, Salukya, Sarupya, Samipya. But here, the understanding from this, particular point here, Aghasura from Sayujya to Sarupya. So in Sarupya, he got the form of the Lord, Sayujya. So this Sayujya means getting up to the merge into the existence of the Supreme, right? So we need clear understanding about these 5, Sayujya, Salukya, Sarupya, Samipya, Sarasti. So these are the 5 different types of muktis. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam also quoting example of Aghasura and Dantavakra. They also elevated to this stage with the mercy of the Lord. Then again, further from Srimad Bhagavatam, here in this verse, the Lord is described as Muktipati, which means one under whose lotus feet there are all kinds of mukti. There are 5 kinds of mukti. Just now we discussed, Sayujya, Sarupya, Salukya, Samipya, Saresti. So these are the 5 different kinds of mukti. Is not actually mukti, because from Sayujya mukti one may again fall down to this material world. So one should understand this Sayujya properly. And then, therefore, Vaishnava philosophers do not accept Sayujya. Please close the door. Thank you. Sorry. Hare Krishna. So here our understanding is this pure, Vaishnava philosopher do not accept this Sayujya Mukti, because in the Padma Purana, this is also confirmed. Mukti means engagement in the service of the Lord. Why this Sayujya is, because mukti means transferal to the loving service of the Lord from one position to serving, that is real mukti, according to Padma Purana also. And then a devotee never accepts mukti, even if Krishna offers it. Mukti, freedom from all sinful reactions, is obtained even by Nama Bhasha or glimpse of the light. A devotee never accepts mukti even if Krishna offers it. Mukti, freedom from all sinful reactions. Right? So the devotees does not bother about, even for mukti also. That is the level of, prema towards the Lord. Further from Srimad Bhagavatam, mukti means relief from material existence. Of course, for a devotee, mukti is not a very great achievement, but though it is rarest, but for devotee it is even nowhere it is, very great achievement. Mukti means being situated in one's constitutional position, right? What is our constitutional position? Servant. Therefore, when a living entity is engaged in the Lord's loving service, he has already attained mukti. Consequently, a devotee does not aspire for mukti, even if it is offered by the Supreme Lord himself. So, the devotee's mood is very wonderful. So that is what this particular verse explains, from the mukti perspective from Srimad Bhagavatam. So let us discuss from Chaitanya Charitamrita about this liberation. What is the liberation being mentioned this? In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Sri Krishna is also known as Mukunta, or he who gives transcendental bliss by offering all kinds of mukti. Srimad Bhagavatam is divided into 12 cantos, and in the 9th canto, different kinds of mukti are, but the 10th canto is the actual center of all the discussions of mukti, because the personality of Godhead, since all types of muktis reside at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, he may be called Mukti Pada. So Lord's, another name could be Mukti Pada. So from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so this particular reference being, taken. And from teachings of Lord Chaitanya, how, this Mukti Pada. Despite this reading, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, I prefer Bhakti Pade to Mukti Pade. Although according to you, there are two meanings to the word Mukti Pade, still, because this word is ambiguous, I prefer Bhakti Pade to Mukti Pade, because when one hears the word Mukti, he immediately thinks, I therefore even hate to utter the word Mukti, but I am very enthusiastic to speak of Bhakti. So this is the perfect exhibition from the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's reply. So rather, reading, Mukti Pade, we can read, Bhakti Pade also, because that is the perfection. Mukti is not at all, my ultimate goal. Bhakti is my ultimate goal. Mukti Pade. The word Mukti Pade directly indicates the personality of Godhead. The word is Mukti and you have changed it to Bhakti. The Bhattacharya replied, Mukti is not valuable as Bhakti, and that Mukti is actually a sort of, for this reason, he changed the word Mukti to Bhakti. So such Mukti or liberation is never desired by the, such a liberation, such a Mukti is never desired by the Lord's devotees. So they want always, the pure devotee always aspires for the Bhakti, not the Mukti. And again, in reciting the verse, the Bhattacharya changed the original word Mukti liberation to bhakti, that is devotional. We can understand why our acharyas are emphasizing more about bhakti rather mukti. So the moment if you are a crorepati, automatically we will become a lakpati. So that is understanding about the word mukti, and you have changed it to bhakti. The Bhattacharya replied that mukti is not as valuable as bhakti, and that mukti is actually a sort of, for this reason, he changed the word mukti to bhakti. The word mukti pade directly indicates the personality of Godhead. Ambiguous, I prefer bhakti pade to mukti pade, because when one hears the word mukti, he immediately thinks, bhakti also. So these are the, take home messages regarding, liberation from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Now we will connect to the today's verse, what exactly, Prabhupada trying to convey here from the first verse. So in the first verse, Devahuti, the mother of Kapila Dev, here makes her first inquiry. Although one may understand the spirit, soul, and matter, I know soul and I know my body, their actual separation is not possible. Still this body, still this soul being together. Either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding, the spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Yes, in front of the super soul, our soul is the marginal potency, and matter is the external potency of the Lord. So Prakriti. The two eternal potencies have somehow or other been combined. These two potencies combined. And since it is so difficult to separate from the other, how is it possible for individual soul to become liberated? Just now we have seen different types of liberation, and what is meant by the liberation. Liberation means to be away from this material consciousness and being with the original spiritual consciousness. I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. That one should understand. This body does not have any real existence once the soul being separated from the body. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot pursue the existence of the soul. If there is no body, then you cannot pursue the existence of the soul also. See how these two, binding together is the understanding, the quality or the material nature. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. Otherwise, there is no life. Perfect answer. But when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapila Dev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. It is always, condemned, the voidism, right? I accept, the sunlight, also a God. Sorry, sun. See the source of light, from the sun. But I am very, foolishly thinking this source of the leaving the source of the light, and the one simple spark of the light, suppose this room is filled with the light, I can see everything. Suppose if it is switched off, then so the point is one should realize the source of the light, not this middle level understanding. This kirana is the source, and this light energy itself a source like that. The source is that person, right? Who is the sun like that. Understanding. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapila Dev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. The voidists say that consciousness is a product of combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves, and therefore there is ultimately nothing but voidness. This is Mayavada philosophy. Prabhupada refuted, no, because we know that Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter, nobody can cut what are the characteristics of the soul, what is the size of the soul, where the soul resides, etc. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana. This is a utter Mayavada foolish philosophy. That is nirvana. Nirvana means not that I am not in the material consciousness. That is the actual understanding of nirvana. Not this totally, I merged, I totally, it has become void. That is not the actual meaning. Then, 18th verse, the example is given here that anything material has an aroma. How this anything is material, the soul will always take place in the material energy. So that is called, say, I am a man, she is a woman. Out of 84 lakh species, you can relate something like that. That is called aroma here. Say, for example, the flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. Flower also will get some aroma. This earth also we are getting, smell as an aroma. If the aroma is separated from the matter cannot be identified. If the soul is removed, what is the aroma means? It is equated with the soul. If the soul is removed from this particular material or this body, this matter, if there is no, then it could not be identified, cannot be identified. If there is no taste of water, taste to water, another example. Yes, water is there. If there is no taste, where is the question of realizing this water? Has no meaning. If there is no heat in the fire, another example. There is a fire, but there is no heat. The fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is a want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning. So if you remove this intelligence, this bhakti yoga, right? Then there is spirit has no meaning. This is the proper understanding towards what is this body and soul and about the liberation. So it is most important. As a quick summary from the translation, Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? So here the separation is concluded that it is not possible. Only with the Lord's, with the Lord's mercy, one could elevate to the level of out of this five, mukti, which we have discussed. And then, as there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. So wherever the consciousness you cannot explain with, you cannot understand or pursue without intelligence. The intelligence could not be really use the purpose of the actual consciousness. So how to understand this? One of the Prabhupada's, famous example. Somebody was asking Prabhupada, the soul, or the Paramatma resides in the heart region, right? So how to understand, suppose if somebody undergone for open heart surgery, removing that particular heart and fixing the another heart, then the devotee was asking, if anybody's heart, replaced, then will that person also will change, that soul also will get changed like that. Prabhupada gave a very beautiful answer for that. Suppose I am sitting in a chair, if there is some damage or something, problem with that particular chair, if I remove that chair and then if I replace that chair with some other chair, doesn't mean that I am not existing or I am a different person. As I am the same person, but only the chair is different. So like this, one should come to the stage of understanding how the the matter and the spirit, right? How and what is the how the jiva could elevate, how the soul could elevate to the level of attaining the moksha or liberation. Here I'd like to stop for the day. If there are any sharings or if there are if anything to be added, you are most welcome. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, devotees, am I audible? Hare Krishna. Okay, if there are no questions, so we can stop here. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thanks for all the devotees for joining today's Bhagavatam class. And my sincere thanks to temple authorities for giving me this opportunity for the day. Hare Krishna. We'll end the session now. We will join next class. Hare Krishna.